Okay guys, so let's move to question 6.3. So just before we get started guys, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for watching these lessons. And again, I notice there are a lot of new guys who actually visit our channel and watch some of the videos. I just want to actually indicate that if you don't want to miss our daily uploads, just make sure to hit the subscribe button. And again, if you enjoy the content, just don't forget to hit the like button. Okay, so without any waste of time, I think we should get started. So the question says calculate the length of BD. Okay, so I just want to bring it to your attention that the question asks us to calculate the length from B to D. So before trying to perform any calculations, I would like you guys to just notice that obviously the length of BD is equals to the length from the origin to B plus the length from the origin to D. So I'm just giving you an idea of how to approach this type of questions. So remember guys, at all times when you're required to calculate the length of the points which are along the x-axis, you don't necessarily need to use the formula for calculating the distance. In most cases, you find that for you to be able to determine the length of those 2 points, you need to know the coordinates of those 2 points. In that way, you'll be able to say, let's for argument's sake, let's assume the coordinates of B, it's the x value, it's -4, and obviously the y value, it's 0. And let's assume that, if you remember from the previous lesson, I think it was question 6.1, where we assumed the coordinates of D to be 5 and 0. So in that way, it means from the origin to B, it's 4 units. And from the origin to D, it's 5 units. That means that the length from B to D, it's actually 9 units, which is 4 plus 5. But obviously, for you to get the marks, you obviously need to show by means of calculations how you get the coordinates of B and D, and then sum them up to get the full length from B to D. So that's what I'll actually be doing in this lesson, to show you how to approach this type of questions. So just before I start with the calculations, I need you to notice that B is a point along the graph of F, and obviously at point B, that's where the graph of F cuts the x-axis. So you can simply use the graph of F to calculate the coordinates of B. As soon as you find the coordinates of B, you know you're sorted for this portion from the origin to B. Then you do the same but using the graph of G, because at that point D, that's where the graph of G cuts the x-axis. So okay, let me just make it clear for you that when we talk of the points, a letter point, the letter B, it could be written anywhere around that area. But when we talk of point B, we refer to that point of intersection there. So that means A is written there, so it refers to that point of intersection of the y-axis and the graph of J. And we also have point C, which is at that point, which is the turning point. So in cases such as C, you will be told that this C is the turning point of the graph of G. But when it comes to B, A, and D, that's where you should be able to notice that when we talk of letter A, B, and C, we're actually referring to those points of intersection. Let's say, for instance, we had point E and it was written somewhere there. So you already know that point E, it actually refers to that point there. So that's all that I can say with regards to the letters or the points. So it doesn't necessarily mean that because it's written somewhere there, then it refers to a point somewhere either along that graph of F or somewhere there or anywhere else around that area. You should just know that it refers to that point of intersection of the graph of F and the x-axis. So without any waste of time, I will just show you the calculation part. So remember guys, what I'm going to do now is to calculate the coordinates of B. So I'm going to use this formula. Reason is because I'll be calculating the x coordinates of the graph of F. So obviously I know at B, that's where the x values are known but the y values 0. So this is what I've got. Okay, just a quick explanation. So remember guys, at B, that's where the y value is 0 and the x values are known. As you can see there at B, the y value is 0 and the x values are known. So I'm going to use the equation for this function to then calculate the x value at that point. So this is the formula for the graph of F, which is half x squared minus 8 is equals to 0. So now I just move a to the right side of the equal sign. It becomes this, it's equals to 8. It changed a sign, remember. So now what I need to do is then to remove this half. So I can remove this half by multiplying by 2 or dividing by half. And I do that on both sides. So suppose you divide by half, then it cancels, and 8 divided by half is equals to 16. So you introduce a square root to remove that squared. Then you have x, which is equals to plus or minus 4. So that means the x value at a B, because it's on the negative side of the Cartesian plane, then it means it's negative 4. So these are the coordinates at B. So the x value there, it's negative 4. But remember guys, when we do the calculations, we've got two values. So that means our x is equals to minus 4, or our x is equals to positive 4. So between these two values, we need to then assign one value for B. So I think for your assignment, just tell me what happens to that 4, that positive 4, or what does it mean, or where does it lie on the graph. So okay, that should be your homework, but for now you just need to know that the coordinates of B, it's negative 4 and 0. So just if in case if I'm moving too fast, just let me know guys. So okay, I'll try to be a bit slower. So now we move to the graph of G with the intention of calculating the x coordinates of D. So let's get started with the question. I'll just quickly show you the calculation part. Okay guys, so now I've calculated the coordinates of D. So as you can see, the x value of D is equals to 5, and obviously the y value is 0. Let's see what's okay. No, it's fine. I can quickly explain. So you've got your graph of g of x, which is equals to this. Remember from the previous question, it's either I think it's 6.1, where we had to show by means of calculation that the graph of g it's equals to that equation. So because I know already for sure that the graph of g is equals to that equation, then I can equate it to 0, because I know that the y value at that point is equals to 0. Then I make use of that knowledge to then calculate the x value at that point. So I've got the whole of this, which is equals to 0. Then what I do is just to solve for x, and this is grade 10 stuff, where you need to then get to a point where you factorize, then you get your x values. So I don't think there might be a need for me to go deeper into explaining this part. So but it's fine, I'll do it anyway. So you just obviously remove that negative, which means you just change the signs of everything along that equation. So you had positive 4, now it's minus 4. You had positive 5, now it's minus 5, which is equals to 0. So it's either it's negative 0 or 0, but you just write it as 0. Then this is what you factorize. You know you've got your x, you've got your 5 and 1. So you just play around the sign so that when you expand this equation, it takes you back to that equation. So obviously when you get to this stage, you just monomial equal to 0, monomial equal to 0, and then you move the value to the other side of the equal sign, changes the sign. So that's why I end up having x, which is equals to 5, or x is equals to minus 1. Then you know at this point you need to then choose which value between these two, lies on the positive side of the equation, obviously, which is 5. So that means between 5 and 1, between 5 and negative 1, it's 5, which suits to be the x value of point D, for the fact that it's a positive value, which is on the positive side of the axis. So I'm sure at this stage you can see that we arrived at the final answer. So the length of BD, which is what we are calculating, it's actually equals to 4 units plus 5 units, which is equals to 9 units. So that's how you score your marks. Okay, we'll get to that point shortly. So I just want to address this point. Remember guys, we just noticed by means of calculations that the x value at B is negative 4, the x value at D is 5. But it doesn't necessarily mean that because the x value at B is negative 4, then when you calculate the length or the distance, you take into consideration that negative. It's more like assume you had to walk from B to D. You don't walk in the negative direction. How do I explain this? As you walk, you are not covering a negative distance. You are covering a positive distance, which is 4, and you still have to cover another distance of 5 units. So the total distance covered, it's 9 units. So it makes it a length of 9 units. So that's actually something that I wanted to cover. So you shouldn't just punch on a calculator -4 plus 5, because otherwise it's no longer a length. So let's see how many. Just want to quickly check. So this question, it's allocated how many marks? It's 5 marks. Let's see. Yeah, now this question is allocated 5 marks. So let's see how we mark this question. I'm sure your most interest is on seeing how we mark this question. So we'll give you a mark for this part where you equate that equation to 0. And obviously we know at this stage you're calculating the x value of b, which is -4. Then we can give you a mark for being able to calculate the x value of b, which is -4. And then you score your second mark by obviously being able to factorize. So we can give you a mark for factorization. And again, even for this question, guys, won't give you a mark for the graph of, for the equation of g, or for equating it to 0, because already you're given this equation. So because you equated it to 0 when you were calculating for the graph of f, we can't repeat the same mark for the same approach. So that's why we don't give you a mark there, but instead we know you worked hard to get those factors right. So now we give you a mark for being able to notice that your x value for d, it's 5. And I'm sure you can obviously see where you score your last mark. So that's an obvious thing. We give you a final mark for the answer. So that's how you score your 5 marks. So this question was allocated 5 marks. So that's how you score your full marks for this question. Okay, guys, so I think you enjoyed this lesson and I think it makes sense. So in case if you've got any additional questions, just make sure to post on the comment section. Then I will address those questions. Obviously, it's in most cases I just respond to the comment on the comment section. But otherwise, if the questions are too many and they're a bit complicated to be answered on the comment section, then I'll just do a special video addressing those questions. So thanks, guys. Just don't forget to hit the subscribe button in case if you're new to our channel. Welcome. And again, if you enjoyed the lesson, just hit the like button. So for any questions, suggestions, anything related to that nature, just make sure to comment on the comment section. Okay, so I think for now we can move to the next question, but I'll just make a special video for the next question, because I noticed we took long on this question.